a sperm whale washes up dead. Scientists cut it open and find its stomach packed with squid, dozens of them, whole, intact. But here's what makes no sense. Not one squid has a bite mark, no wounds, no sign of a struggle. So how did they die? For a long time, nobody could answer that question. And it wasn't just one whale. Whalers and scientists kept finding the same thing over and over. They'd open up a sperm whale, and inside would be a graveyard of squid, thousands of hard, indigestible beaks piling up in the gut. The only part of a squid a whale can't dissolve, and almost none of the bodies showed the damage you'd expect from a real fight. Think about what that means for a second. The sperm whale hunts in total darkness, thousands of feet down, where there is no light at all. Its favorite prey is squid-fast, slippery, alert animals with some of the largest eyes on the planet. Eyes built specifically to catch the faintest hint of danger in the dark. And somehow, the whale is catching them by the dozen on a single breath, without leaving a scratch on most of them. That doesn't add up. If you're wrestling a squid in the black, there should be evidence. Torn tentacles, sucker marks, ink clouding the water, a mess. Instead, researchers kept pulling out squid that looked like they'd simply given up. And it's not a small number of squid either. A single sperm whale can eat something like a ton of squid and fish a day. Multiply that across every sperm whale in every ocean, and you land on an estimate that sounds made up. As a species, sperm whales may eat more seafood every year than the entire human race pulls out of the sea. That's the scale of the hunting we're trying to explain. Not the occasional lucky catch. An animal feeding on an almost industrial scale, in a place it cannot see, on prey designed to detect it, and doing it so cleanly that the victims arrive intact. Whatever the sperm whale is doing down there, it isn't just working. It's working better than almost any predator on Earth. So people started asking the obvious question: how? How do you catch a fast, wide-eyed animal in absolute darkness so cleanly that it barely fights back? In 1972, a biologist named Kenneth Norris looked at this mystery and proposed something that sounded almost like science fiction. What if the sperm whale wasn't catching these squid with its mouth at all? What if it was hitting them with something invisible first? Something that reached out across the water and stunned them, froze them, knocked them senseless before the whale ever arrived? What if the sperm whale was killing with sound? It was a wild idea, but Norris had a reason to believe it. Because the sperm whale, it turns out, carries the single most powerful sound-making machine that has ever evolved on this planet. Not the loudest animal alive today, the loudest that has ever existed. And once you understand just how much force this animal can channel out of its own face, the theory stops sounding crazy and starts sounding genuinely frightening. So before we go any further, we have to talk about the sound, because you cannot believe the numbers until someone puts them next to something you actually understand. Here's a number that's hard to hold in your head. A sperm whale can produce a click measured at 230 decibels underwater. Some recordings have pushed past 236. That probably means nothing to you yet. So let me put it in context, because the context is genuinely unhinged. A jet engine at takeoff, standing right beside it on the runway, is about 140 decibels. A rifle going off next to your ear is around 165. And here's the one that stops me every time. The loudest sound NASA ever recorded, the first stage of the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine humanity has ever launched, the thing that hurled astronauts to the moon, measured around 204 decibels. The sperm whale is louder than the rocket. One animal, in one instant, from its head. Now, I want to be straight with you, because the decibel scale plays tricks. Sound behaves differently in water than in air, so you can't line them up one to one. Converted to air, the whale's click would land somewhere around 170 to 180 decibels. But don't hear that as a downgrade. That's still standing inside the muzzle blast of a large firearm. And here's the part people miss. The decibel scale is logarithmic. Every 10 decibels is not a little more. It is 10 times more intense. So a whale clicking at 230 is not a bit louder than a jet engine. It is in a completely different universe of physical force. And water makes it worse, not better. Water is dense. Sound moves through it with far more pressure packed into every square inch than it carries in air. So when that click leaves the whale's head, it isn't just a loud noise arriving at your ears. It's a pressure wave, a physical shove traveling through the ocean. That's not a figure of speech. People who've been in the water near sperm whales don't describe the clicks as something they heard. They describe them as something they felt. A vibration that rattles the ribs, buzzes the sinuses, leaves a strange pressure behind the eyes. Not painful exactly, but impossible to ignore and impossible to forget. Your whole body suddenly becomes an instrument the whale is playing, whether you want it to or not. And remember, that's a human, protected by a wetsuit, by dense bone, by layers of muscle, floating meters away. Now shrink yourself down. Become the target. Become a soft-bodied squid, mostly water, no skeleton, no armor, hovering right in the center of that beam. If a single click hammers through a grown diver's ribcage from across open water, what in the world would it do to you? And there's another detail that makes the weapon theory even more tempting. This sound isn't sprayed out in all directions like a shout in a room. It's aimed. The whale's head focuses those clicks into a narrow, forward-pointing beam, like the difference between a bare light bulb and a laser pointer. All that raw power, concentrated and pointed, which means the whale wouldn't be flooding the ocean with noise and hoping. It would be aiming its loudest sound directly at one target, the way you'd aim a flashlight at one spot on a wall. Suddenly, the idea of a sonic weapon doesn't sound like a fairy tale. It sounds like physics. A focused beam, the most powerful in the natural world, pointed straight at a soft little body in the dark. Of course it would kill. How could it not? Hold on to that certainty, because it's exactly the certainty this story is going to take apart. And that's the theory that launched decades of obsessive research. But to understand whether it could actually be true, you need to see the machine that makes the sound. Because the sperm whale didn't stumble into being the loudest thing on Earth by accident. Its entire head, one of the strangest structures in the whole animal kingdom, is built front to back to do exactly one thing: make sound. And a lot of it. Look at a sperm whale, and the very first thing you notice is that giant, blunt, squared-off head. It looks like the nose of a submarine. It looks almost wrong, too big, too boxy, too heavy for the body trailing behind it. That head is roughly 1/3 of the entire animal, and it is, essentially, one colossal nose. The largest nose in the animal kingdom. But hardly any of it is for breathing. Nearly the whole thing has been rebuilt by tens of millions of years of evolution for a single job: generating and aiming sound. Let me walk you through how it actually works, because it's one of the most remarkable pieces of natural engineering you'll ever come across. It starts with a structure near the front of the head that has a wonderfully ridiculous name. Scientists call them the monkey lips. It's a pair of lips buried in the whale's nasal passage. The whale forces pressurized air through them, and they clap shut, hard, snapping together to generate a sharp initial pulse of sound. That's the trigger. But that first pulse, on its own, isn't the earth-shaking click. What happens next is where the real magic lives. Behind those lips sits a massive oil-filled chamber, called the spermaceti organ. This is the thing the whale is named for. Early whalers found this waxy substance packed inside the head, wrongly guessed it was something reproductive, and the name stuck, unfortunately, forever. When the click fires, the sound doesn't just shoot straight out. It travels backward through that oil-filled organ until it slams into an air sac at the back of the skull. And that air sac behaves like a mirror. It reflects the sound forward again. The pulse ricochets through the head, bounces off the curved bones of the skull, which work like a satellite dish, gets focused, tuned, and finally blasts out the front of the whale's face as a tight, directional beam. And here's a detail I love. Not all of the sound escapes on that first bounce. Some of it keeps rattling back and forth inside the head, leaking out in stages, milliseconds apart. That's why a single recorded click doesn't show up as one clean pop. It shows up as a series of pulses, each weaker than the last. The click echoing inside its own maker before it ever reaches the sea. That echo is so consistent that researchers can measure the size of a whale's head just from the spacing of those pulses. The animal is broadcasting its own dimensions with every click it makes. Put it all together, and you have a biological device that takes a puff of air and converts it into the loudest focused sound on the planet. One writer described the whole apparatus perfectly. It's a biological air horn the size of a Volkswagen. So the whale has the weapon. A sound powerful enough to be felt through solid flesh, sharpened into a beam, aimed out the front of its skull. Like a spotlight, it can point wherever it wants. Every piece of Norris's theory seems to click into place. Now, we just have to watch it hunt. And to do that, we have to follow it down, off the edge of the light, into the black. A sperm whale takes a series of breaths at the surface, tips its head down, lifts that enormous tail straight up into the air, and slides under, and it is going deep. On an average hunting dive, it will stay down for around 45 minutes on a single breath. It will drop past 1,000 meters. Some individuals push far beyond that, past 2,000 meters, into pressures that would crush a submarine like a soda can. Just hold on to that for a second, because it's easy to skate past. 45 minutes, on one breath. You and I start to panic after one. This animal is calmly working a night shift a mile underwater. Lungs collapse down to nothing. Heart slowed to a crawl to save oxygen. Body built to shrug off a weight of water that would flatten almost anything we've ever made. And it does this again and again, all day, all night, its whole life. The deep isn't a place the sperm whale visits. It's the place it commutes to. It's the office. And every trip down, it should be going in completely blind. Except it isn't. Because the whole way down, the whale is clicking. Listen to a recording of a diving sperm whale, and you hear this steady, patient rhythm. Click, click, click. Regular, spaced out, unhurried. These are the long-range clicks, the loud, powerful ones. The whale is sweeping the darkness ahead of it, throwing sound out into the void, and waiting for the echoes to come whispering back. Scanning, searching, painting the black with pulses and listening for something to answer. And then, somewhere down there in the dark, it finds one. The rhythm changes, and you can pinpoint the exact instant it happens. The clicks speed up, faster, faster, until they stop sounding like separate clicks at all and smear together into a rapid, buzzing stutter that scientists literally call a buzz. If that pattern sounds familiar, it should. It's exactly what a bat does. A bat chasing a moth clicks slowly while it searches, then rips into a machine gun buzz in the final split second as it closes in for the kill. The sperm whale is doing precisely the same thing, just a kilometer underwater in an animal the size of a school bus. That buzz is the whale locking on. And it works spectacularly. Researchers who tagged sperm whales in the Gulf of Mexico found a number that still amazes me. On a single deep dive, one whale attempts around 17 prey captures. 17. On one breath. Down there in the dark, it's finding, chasing, and striking squid after squid after squid, and it succeeds on nearly every dive. These aren't lucky grabs. This is an animal harvesting the deep ocean with terrifying efficiency in conditions where we would be utterly, hopelessly blind. So the picture seems complete. The whale descends, clicking. It detects a squid. It accelerates into that frantic buzz, and it strikes, and the squid ends up in its stomach, whole, no bite marks, no fight left in it. Which drops us right back into Norris's theory. That moment of the buzz, surely that's when the weapon fires? That's when the whale unloads its full 230 decibel blast point blank and blows the squid's senses out, stunning it into stillness so it can be swallowed clean. It's a beautiful theory. It fits every single clue. The staggering power, the stunned prey, the missing bite marks, the buzz at the exact moment of the kill. There's only one problem, and it's a big one. But before we get to why the theory falls apart, we need to talk about what happens when the squid isn't a helpless little snack. Because sometimes, down in that darkness, the sperm whale picks a fight with a monster nearly its own size. And that fight leaves scars. Most of what a sperm whale eats is small, squid you could hold in your hands. But down in the deep, there are two animals that turn the hunt into a war. The giant squid and the colossal squid. We built entire legends around these things before we ever confirmed they were real. The kraken, the tentacled sea monster that drags ships beneath the waves in sailors' nightmares, was almost certainly inspired by giant squid. And for centuries, that's all they were. Stories. The proof they actually existed came, in large part, from cutting open sperm whale stomachs and finding the beaks inside. And the size of them is hard to believe. The giant squid can stretch to an estimated 43 feet with the longest tentacles of any animal on Earth. The colossal squid is shorter but far heavier and far more heavily armed, the heaviest invertebrate on the planet, with females estimated to top 1,000 pounds. It has the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom, up to around 16 inches across, bigger than your head. And those eyes evolved for one purpose above all others: to catch the silhouette of an incoming sperm whale in the gloom before it's too late. At the center of its arms sits a beak that can slice through flesh, and its tentacles are lined with hooks and razor-edged sucker rings that rotate and dig in. So when a sperm whale takes on one of these, it is not a clean kill. It is a brawl in the dark. The squid throws its tentacles around the whale's head, hooks and sucker rings tearing at the skin, fighting to hold on, to keep from being dragged toward that mouth. And the whale? Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone. The sperm whale can't really bite. It has teeth, up to 20-something down each side of the lower jaw, the largest teeth of any predator that has ever lived, some as long as your hand. But the upper jaw has only empty sockets. The lower teeth just slot up into the gum line. It can't chomp down the way a shark or a crocodile does. Instead, it hunts largely by suction, dropping that lower jaw and pulling prey in with a rush of water, then swallowing it more or less whole. Those enormous, fearsome teeth may barely be used for feeding at all. We know these battles are brutal because the evidence is written all over the whales' bodies. Sperm whales are often covered in circular scars, perfect rings, raked across the skin of the head, left by the suckers and hooks of a giant squid clamping on and being torn loose. Some of these scars are huge. Some scientists think a single battle between these giants can last for hours in the dark. Every one of those rings is a story we never got to watch. A fight to the death, a kilometer down, that ended with the whale surfacing marked but alive, and the squid reduced to a beak in its gut. And here's what ties it all back to sound. Even against a monster with the biggest eyes in the world, eyes evolved specifically to see the whale coming, the sperm whale still wins, again and again. Why? Because in absolute darkness, eyes have nothing to work with, no matter how enormous they are. The whale's sound needs no light at all, so the colossal squid can be built like a tank, armed to the teeth, staring into the black with eyes the size of dinner plates, and it still can't see the thing that's hunting it. But the whale can see the squid perfectly, which finally brings us to the twist. Because that word, see, is the key to this entire mystery. And it's about to turn everything you think you've just learned upside down. For decades, the sonic weapon idea was the best explanation anyone had. But the best explanation we have, and actually true, are two very different things. And by the 2000s, technology had finally caught up enough to drag the theory into the light and put it on trial. Here's how they did it. First, researchers recorded the real sound sperm whales make during that final buzz, the actual acoustic fingerprint of the kill moment, and played those recordings back at live squid and fish at full, realistic volume. If the sound was a weapon, the prey should have been stunned, disoriented, hurt in some visible way. Nothing happened. The squid kept swimming. The fish kept swimming. Even when researchers pushed the levels above 226 decibels, closely mimicking the whale's own clicks, the prey didn't so much as flinch. No stunning, no paralysis, nothing. Then came the part that really buried the theory. Scientists attached recording tags directly onto sperm whales, sensors that captured both the sound the whale was making and the movement of its head at the precise moment it attacked. More than 50 whales, tagged and studied in fine detail. And they found something that quietly demolished the whole idea. During that final buzz, the whale doesn't crank its volume up. It turns it down. In those last seconds before the kill, the sperm whale actually drops the power of its clicks by a factor of 10 to 100. Instead of screaming at full output as it closes in, it goes quieter and faster. Which means at the exact instant it's supposedly firing its sonic death ray point blank, the sound reaching the squid is more than 10 times too weak to stun anything at all. The weapon, it turns out, was never being fired. It may never have existed. So take a breath, because this is where the whole story flips inside out. The single most famous fact about the sperm whale, that it stuns its prey with a blast of sound, is, by the best evidence we have, almost certainly a myth. A brilliant, convincing, decades-old myth that got repeated so many times it started to feel like truth. But here's the thing I most want you to take away, and it's the entire reason this story is worth telling. The truth isn't a letdown. The truth is stranger and quieter and far more impressive than the myth ever was. Because if the whale isn't using sound as a weapon, then what is it using it for? And how is it catching all those squid in perfect darkness without a fight? The answer is that the sperm whale isn't using sound to kill. It's using sound to see. Try to genuinely imagine its world for a second. You are 1,000 meters down. There is no light. Not a little bit of light, none. The animal could have the sharpest eyes on Earth, and they'd be completely useless down here. Vision, the way you and I understand the word, does not exist in this place. And yet the sperm whale moves through it like it owns it. It finds fast, evasive prey. It strikes with precision. It does everything an apex predator does at the top of its game while functionally blind. Those clicks aren't a weapon. their eyes made out of sound. And there's a reason this works so well down there, a piece of physics most people never learn. Sound travels roughly 5 times faster in water than it does in air. In the ocean, sound is simply the best sense you can possibly have. Light dies in the first few hundred meters, smell drifts and smears, but sound races through water, far, fast, and clean. So an animal that truly masters sound doesn't just survive the deep dark, it rules it. And the sperm whale has mastered it completely. Every click that leaves its head races out and strikes something, the seafloor, a ridge of rock, a fish, or a squid, and bounces back. And when that echo returns, the whale reads it. From the shape of the echo, the timing, the texture of the sound coming back, it assembles a picture of what's out there. Not a vague sense of something's ahead. A detailed, three-dimensional image painted entirely in sound. The precision is honestly hard to accept. A sperm whale can very likely tell the difference between a squid, a fish, and a rock from hundreds of meters away, in total darkness, purely from the shape of the echo bouncing back. It knows the size. It knows the distance. It knows whether the thing ahead is worth chasing before it moves a muscle in that direction. And here's the wrinkle that makes it even better. For a long time, scientists assumed squid would be terrible sonar targets. The logic was solid. Most fish have a swim bladder, a hard, air-filled sac that bounces sound back beautifully, and it's the thing echolocating hunters usually lock onto. Squid don't have one. They're soft, boneless, mostly water. On paper, a squid should be nearly invisible to sonar. So how was the whale hunting them so well? So researchers tested it. They tethered a live jumbo squid a few feet under a boat and hit it with sound to see what came back. And to everyone's surprise, the squid lit up like a beacon. Turns out squid are packed with hard internal structures, that dense beak and other tough tissues that reflect sound just fine. They aren't invisible at all. They're excellent targets, which means the whale system works flawlessly even on the one animal you'd think could slip through it. There is nowhere down there for a squid to run. It can't outswim the sound. It can't hide from the sound. It can't even hide by being soft. In the deepest, darkest place on Earth, the sperm whale sees everything. And that, finally, solves our mystery. The squid have no bite marks because the whale is so efficient, so precise, so perfectly guided onto its target that most of the time there barely is a fight. The whale detects the squid from far off with its long-range clicks, closes the gap while that accelerating buzz dials in the position down to the last few feet and takes it. Clean, fast, over before the squid ever understood what was coming. The whale doesn't need a sonic weapon. It never did. What it has is far better. A way of turning sound into sight so complete that the darkness, the very thing that should be its greatest weakness, becomes the arena it rules without a rival. But I don't want to leave it there. Because once you understand that the sperm whale's head is really a sound-powered eye, a whole set of other facts about this animal suddenly get a lot more interesting. And some of them have nothing to do with hunting at all. Start with the brain. To process all those echoes, to take a stream of returning sound and rebuild a live, moving, three-dimensional picture of a pitch-black ocean in real time while diving and chasing prey, you need serious hardware. And the sperm whale has it. It has the largest brain of any animal that has ever existed on Earth. Not the biggest of any living creature. The biggest, period, of anything ever in the history of life. More than 5 times heavier than yours. Sitting right behind that enormous sound-making nose is this giant brain, quietly running calculations you and I can't begin to picture, building an entire world out of nothing but echoes. And we're still only scratching the surface of what it can actually do. And here's where it gets even better, because those clicks aren't only for hunting. Sperm whales also use them to talk, and they don't all sound the same. They make specific rhythmic patterns of clicks that scientists call codas, short Morse code-like sequences. And here's the remarkable part. These codas appear to be distinct to individual whales and to particular families. Different clans in different parts of the ocean use different coda patterns, almost like regional accents. Some researchers think an individual's coda may work almost like a signature, a name, spoken in clicks, that says exactly who is calling across miles of black water. So sit with that. The same machine that lets this animal see in the dark, the same organ people spent decades believing was a killing weapon, is also the tool it uses to say who it is, to call to its family across the open ocean, to hold a society together in a place with no light and no landmarks. That weapon is, in the most literal sense, a voice. And there's one last piece I find almost unbearably fitting. Remember the spermaceti organ, the oil-filled chamber that focuses the sound? In the 18th and 19th centuries, whalers hunted these animals to the very edge of extinction for exactly that oil. They'd haul it out of the head by the barrel and turn it into smokeless candles and fine machine lubricant. For a time, it was one of the most valuable substances on Earth. Whole cities ran on it, and they had no idea what they were destroying. They were melting down into candle wax, the single most sophisticated piece of biological sonar evolution has ever produced. They burned a superpower for light, never once realizing that the wax in the whale's head was the very reason the whale could navigate a world with no light at all. Sit with that irony for a moment. We killed them for the thing that let them see, so we could see a little better in our own dark rooms. We spent centuries afraid of this animal. We wrapped it in legend, the monster, the leviathan, the demon of the deep. We told ourselves it struck its prey down from a distance with a blast of sound, like some sea god hurling thunder into the black. The reality is quieter and so much more beautiful. The sperm whale doesn't kill with sound. It sees with it. It speaks with it. It finds its family with it. Down there in the dark, in a place where we can't survive and can barely even visit. This animal evolved a way of experiencing the world so advanced that we, with all our technology, are only now beginning to understand it. So, how does a sperm whale catch all those squid in total darkness without a chase, without a fight, without a mark, not with a weapon? With the clearest vision anywhere in the deep ocean, a kind of sight made entirely out of sound, wired to the largest brain that has ever existed. The thing we mistook for a killing blast turned out to be the most advanced eye evolution has ever built. The squid never stood a chance. Not because the whale is loud enough to kill them, but because down there in the endless dark, the sperm whale is the only one who can truly see. We looked at this animal and saw a monster with a weapon. We should have seen something far rarer. A creature that took the most hostile, lightless place on the planet and turned it into a world it could see and speak into and call home. And if the idea of an animal seeing with sound is the kind of thing that keeps you up at night in the best possible way, stick around. The ocean is full of creatures doing things that should be impossible, and we are only just beginning to listen.